Yes, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I guess we would start the program now. I'm having a bit of a problem trying to put my camera on, but then we would start. We wouldn't wait for that, and I'll try to fix it as we go along. Thank you very much for everyone for joining us for this very important program. And then we will start with the recitation from the Holy Quran. And with this, I call our younger brother, Talha Ahmed Umsukmedu, to do the recitation in Arabic for us. Talha Ahmed Umsukmedu. You're muted.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولو أن لكل نفس ظلمت ما في الأرض لافتدت به وأصروا الندامة لما رأوا العذاب وقضي بينهم بالقسط وهم لا يظلمون ألا إن لله ما في السماوات والأرض ألا إن وعد الله حق ولكن أكثرهم لا يعلمون هو يحيي ويميت وإليه ترجعون يا أيها الناس قد جاءتكم موعظة من ربكم وشفاء لما في الصدور وهدى ورحمة للمؤمنين قل بفضل الله وبرحمته فبذلك فليفرحوا هو خير مما يجمعون. Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah. We now move on to our another younger brother, Junior Kamal Amwakon, to do the English translation for us. Can you unmute yourself?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. Holy Quran portion that's just been recited is from the Holy Quran, chapter 10, known as Suratul Yunus, Prophet Jonah, verse 56 to 59. And the English translation is as follows. I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed, in the name of the Almighty Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Jazakallah.
You've not recited the actual verses for us. Can you recite the actual verses? Do you have the Holy Quran with you?
No, I haven't got that with me at the moment. Right.
Okay. Can Tala do the actual verses for us?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I seek refuge of Allah from Satan the accursed, and the name of Allah, the most gracious, the ever merciful. And if every soul that does wrong possessed all that is in the earth, it would surely offer to ransom itself therewith, and they will conceal their remorse when they see the punishment, and judgment shall be passed between them with equity, and they shall not be wronged. Know ye to Allah, surely belongs whatever is in the heavens and the earth. Know ye that Allah's promise is surely true, but most of them understand not. He it is who gives life and causes death, and to him shall you be brought back. O mankind, there has indeed come to you an exhortation from your Lord, and a cure for whatever disease there is in the hearts, and the guidance and the mercy to the believers. See, all this is through the grace of Allah and through his mercy. Therein, therefore, let them rejoice. That is better than what they hoard. This is verses 55 to 59. Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah. We now move on to the welcome address by our PAAMA Midlands President, Mr. Dr. Hakim Bakari. Dr. Sab.
Jazakallah Ahmed Sab. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'du, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon every one of you. On behalf of Pan-Africa Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, Midlands, North, and West, I welcome you all to this all-important forum. For most of us familiar with the run of PAAMA events, you will agree with me that this particular event is a special one. It was conceived within a few days and graciously approved by our beloved Imam to hold within the same week. The event is a special one because of its subject of discussion. COVID-19 pandemic is no more news to us all, but the conspiracy theories flying around about the credibility of the vaccine being produced to put the spread and effect of the virus under control continue to cause misinformation and disinformation. However, as an advocate of collective and responsible action for global sustainability, I feel that we all have a role to play in the fight against this pandemic. But to ensure that our actions count, we need to be fully empowered with reliable and accurate information. This will enable us to make our own informed choices about the vaccine. In light of this, to save the stress of getting overwhelmed with too much information from the internet, we are lucky to have with us today our very own renowned clinician who can put our mind at ease about the mysteries surrounding the COVID-19 vaccine. Dr. Fahim Yunus is an award-winning clinician, a certified physician executive, and a change management expert based in Baltimore City, United States of America. On behalf of everyone here tonight, I welcome Dr. Yunus, and I hope you are all able to benefit from this short time we will be having with Dr. Yunus tonight. Without much ado, I will hand over back to Ahmed Saab because I can't wait to get my questions answered. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah, our dear President of PAAMA Midlands, Dr. Hakim Bakari. I guess we just get the ball rolling now, and then I'll just move on to Dr. Yunus. Dr. Yunus, are you here with us? Yes?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. But instead of us trying to introduce you, I guess we will start by just asking you to just tell us what you do and what's all about your profession and where you are now.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. My dear brothers from PAAMA UK, Assalamu alaikum. I am, first of all, deeply honored and very, very happy to be with all of you, because if it was not for the truth of Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wassalam, there was no reason for a man who was born in Pakistan, who lives in England, to be talking to a lot of Africans who happen to live in UK. I mean, this is the universal brotherhood. To me, that's what's very, very exciting to me right now. And all of us are united in the hand of one Khilafat. And how many people can really say that? So anything that I have been blessed to do in this pandemic is Allah's fazl, none of my own doing. But by the grace of Allah, I have been an infectious disease physician for the past 20 years. I serve as the chief of infectious diseases at the University of Maryland, Upper Chesapeake Health. Now I'm the incident commander of our COVID response in our hospital systems. We've vaccinated over 3,000 people in my own hospital. And we are constantly working on this, inshallah ta'ala, until this all ends. We've treated over 1,000 patients just in our own hospital. So a disease that was completely new up until a year ago, by now, alhamdulillah, we have significant experience and firsthand knowledge of what's going on.
Thank you very much for that brief intro. I just think I'll now pass on back to you. You probably want to say some few words before we get into the questions and answer session.
Sure. So I think I would love to really have all of you take control of the program, ask whatever questions you have on your mind. My agenda is your agenda. To me, if your questions are answered, that makes me happy. I don't have any of my own agenda, but before we go into those questions, let's think if we can agree on some big principles. And push back right now, disagree. Let me know now if you disagree with any of the 5 things I'm going to share with you. 1, nothing in life is risk-free. Do we agree with that? Everything has a risk. If you disagree, let me know. If I don't hear anyone, I'll keep going.
Yes, we agree.
All right. And second thing, my understanding of Islam is that collective interest supersedes individual interest. Islam is a communal faith. It gives a lot of rights to the individuals, but it builds societies. Do we agree with that?
Yes, I agree totally.
Okay. The third big principle is that the believer is open-minded. Believer is not closed-minded, because all of the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are hearing the stories in the sermons of the Khalifatul Masih for the past so many years. All of them were converts, if you think about it, right? So that means they were open-minded. That's what brought them to Islam. So I believe a believer is an open-minded person. Do we agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
So far, so good. This is a good group. The fourth principle I want to make sure we agree is, as human beings, all we can do is, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, tie the knee of the camel. In the end, after that, we pray and put our trust in Allah Ta'ala. Is that true? That we can only do so much. We cannot control everything in life. Then there is, after we do our part, then there is time and place for dua and putting our ultimate trust in God.
Correct.
Okay. So after that, I think the last, so these are the 4 principles so far. Nothing is risk-free, that collective interest supersedes individual interest, that believer is open-minded, that we can only tie the camel. And the last point is that we believe Khilafat changes a state of fear into a state of peace.
Yes.
All right, then let's go. That's all. I just wanted to make sure that we as a group agree to these broad principles. And Ahmad Awusu Saab, over to you, sir. I'm here at your service. My goal is to simply try and share my understanding with you. And there may be times where I don't know the answer. I'm just going to tell you straight up that I don't know. And by the way, anything we discussed today, as you know, this is an ever-evolving scientific process. If something I tell you today is proven wrong 3 months from now, is changed, we will change our mind. We are open-minded people. But at the same time, I will tell you what is scientifically proven already, what we already know, and what are the ideas where we can safely move forward. All right, sir, over to you. Any questions you have for me?
Thank you very much. I guess as for the questions, we want to start from one video for you.
All right.
And I guess there are so many videos out there which is literally scaring people from the vaccination. So if Brother Enin is here, can you give us one of the videos?
Oh yeah, hi. If I get vaccinated, can I stop wearing a mask or, any mask at all, like 2 or even 1 mask?
No. In fact,
They are doing
Dr.
a program.
Fauci
Can
says you
we
have
join
to
it
double up.
on Zoom, please?
Oh. Okay. If I get vaccinated, will the
Do that on
restaurants,
my phone.
bars, schools, fitness clubs, and
No,
hair
we
salons,
all
will they
want to join
reopen? And will people be able to get back to work like normal?
No.
Yeah, Zoom.
Okay, let me ask you this. If I get vaccinated, will I be resistant to COVID?
Maybe, we don't know exactly,
Yeah,
but
let's
probably
try
not.
this on your phone.
Oh, Dr. Bill
see.
Gates says you will more than likely need a 3rd shot because it looks like just the 2 still don't meet the death quota.
All right. If I get vaccinated, at least I won't be contagious to others, right?
No, the vaccine doesn't stop transmission.
Okay, then let me ask you this. If I get vaccinated, how long will the vaccine last?
No one knows. All COVID vaccines are still in the experimental stage.
If I get vaccinated, can I stop social distancing?
No.
If my parents, grandparents, and myself all get vaccinated, can we hug each other again?
No.
Can I ask you this? So what's the benefit of even getting vaccinated at all?
Hoping that the virus won't kill you.
Are you sure the vaccine won't injure or kill me?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
If statistically the virus won't kill me, it's got a 99.7 survival rate, why should I even get vaccinated?
To protect others.
So if I get vaccinated, I can protect 100% of people I come in contact with?
No.
Listen, if I experience a severe adverse reaction or long-term effects still unknown, or I die from the vaccine, will I or my family be compensated from the vaccine manufacturers or the government?
No. The government vaccine manufacturers have 100% zero liability regarding this experimental drug. Let me summarize the COVID-19 vaccine for you, sir. It doesn't provide immunity. It doesn't eliminate the virus. It does not prevent death. It doesn't guarantee you won't get it. It does not stop you from passing it on to others. It doesn't eliminate the need for travel bans. And it doesn't eliminate the need for business closures. It doesn't eliminate the need for lockdowns. And it doesn't eliminate the need for masking. So, would you like me to set up your appointment for your vaccine?
Yes, Dr. Yunus, I know this is just one of the videos that, one of the thousands, if not hundreds of videos which are going around scaring people from the vaccination. What is your response to this video? If you can take them one by one for us.
First of all, I think it shouldn't matter what is my opinion. I think it should matter what scientific opinion is and where the science is. I think I could show you similar videos of similar looking people talking about Islam and saying everything about Islam, which we all will laugh at. Because as Muslims, we've read the Quran. We said, this is lying. We know this. We call it propaganda. So in this situation, if you look at the science, if you read the science, just like we read the Quran, you will realize this video is just a propaganda like that. Let's take things one by one. For example, they say this vaccine does not give you immunity. Complete propaganda. It gives you 90% or more immunity. Half of Israel's population is right now vaccinated, and look at their curve. What is happening to hospitalizations and deaths in Israel? And I give that example because that's a small country. They're vaccinated the most in the world right now. So the proof is in front of us that it is giving significant immunity. Another point was made, it does not prevent death. Completely wrong. Nearly 100% of people in vaccine trials who received the vaccine were saved from death. All the deaths happened in the placebo group. So our estimation is that these vaccines, most of them are going to prevent death over 95%. Point was made that it does not reduce transmissions, that you could still pass it on to someone else. Once again, incorrect. It reduces transmissions over 80%, not 100%. Nothing is 100%. Remember, we established that in the beginning in ground rules, in our principles. Nothing in life is 100%. So it does prevent transmissions by over 80%. They said, well, we don't know how long the immunity from the vaccine will last. Once again, that's wrong. We know that the immunity will last anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. Why we can't pinpoint it, that's called scientific honesty. We will not be sure because everybody's immune system is different. Someone who's 30-year-old and a runner and very healthy is going to have a very different immune response as compared to someone who's 80 years old and is getting dialysis 3 times a week. So that is why we cannot pinpoint a number, but we know that the immunity lasts long enough. The vaccine will not allow you to stop social distancing. You will not be able to hug your family members. All of this is wrong. If you look at the CDC's website, if your family is all vaccinated, you can gather without any social distancing. If you have 20 people, 3 different families, and all of you want to get together for a lunch and everybody is vaccinated, you don't need to wear masks. You can shake hands. You can hug with each other. The risk is minuscule. So those are the advantages. This vaccine will, they say, will it end lockdowns? No, that's wrong again. If you go to Israel, there is no lockdown there because the vaccine allowed them to lift the lockdown. Will there be any need for masking? As I said, once we get to herd immunity, once enough people in the community get vaccinated, yes, the need for masks will go away as well. The drug companies and whether they will be liable or not, people don't understand how things work. Will you be able to give liability less? And by the way, another disclaimer, I don't work for any drug company. I have not received a penny from any drug company and will never do. But my question is, if you were the CEO of a vaccine development company, will you be able to give that guarantee to others that if you get a side effect that I will pay you millions of dollars? It doesn't work that way. It's a voluntary vaccine. Nobody is forcing anyone to take it. But yes, the risks outweigh the benefits. Every year, thousands of people, about 25 to 30 people out of every million who take aspirin die. 25 out of 1 million people who take aspirin will die. Who's giving money for that? Nothing in life is 100%, my brothers. So again, I think this video, please do not get your information from WhatsApp. Get it from, and all you have to do is really Google it. Just say, what does, just ask the same questions. If you Google the same question, chances is you will get the same answer. So let's not do to science what Ghair Ahmadis and non-Muslims do to us.
Thank you very much. We just box on with the questions now, and I believe some of these are people's personal questions. So I guess it would be very good that we tackle it from that angle. And obviously, I believe that would also be something that will serve other people, because other people may also have similar questions, which actually may affect them one way or the other. So the first question I've got here, quite a long list of questions, and then we'll see if we can get through as many as we can anyway. What do you think about the Oxford Zeneca drug? It goes, I had the first dose. Shall I take the second dose or go for another vaccine as I am under 30? And the UK has changed the vaccine for under 30s from Oxford to an alternative.
Yeah, so there's a lot of moving pieces on this vaccine. We do not have all the final answers because the science is literally changing day by day on AstraZeneca. So far, over 34 million people have received this vaccine in the European Union. So this is widely used. And to the last time I checked, there were 86 cases of this blood disorder and 18 deaths. So I have to acknowledge that there is something here which we need to understand more. As to whether you should get the second shot or not, I think you should follow the instructions of your local doctors and whatever your government says. I work in practice in United States where AstraZeneca is not yet approved. So I don't have any firsthand experience with it, but scientifically thinking, I believe it's a good vaccine. I believe it's going to have a major impact globally. And if you ask me, I think the risks right now are few and the benefits far outweigh the risks. But yes, as I said, there is some science that needs to complete its work. So you should follow your local government's recommendations, because I know that those recommendations also differ between UK versus Norway versus Belgium versus Germany. As for a second shot, once again, I cannot tell you that. I think you should look for local guidance on that.
Thank you. So I believe as we live in the United Kingdom, the government will definitely give guidance as we go along, as to those who have already taken the jab and then waiting for their second dose. I guess it's probably within the next 3 months or so. So as Dr. Yunus is saying, the sciences will come out, and then based on that, they'll make a decision for us as to whether we go ahead or not. Would you advise anyone to go for the vaccine at all if the person thinks he doesn't need to do that? Doctor?
I don't know who, so anyone who says they don't need, what they're saying is that they are immune to coronavirus. I don't know who can say that in the world, because this virus is not going to discriminate. It's not going to ask whether you're white or black or Muslim, non-Muslim, UK or US. It's only going to ask, are you human? So from that angle, I believe everyone needs it. I have to, Allah Ta'ala says in Holy Quran, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu lima taquluna ma la tafalun. Oh, you who believe, why do you say what you do not? So I can only tell you that I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I have taken the vaccine myself, and even the young, my children who are young, if they're eligible, I have asked them to take the vaccine as well. So I believe that every one of us who's eligible needs it, and there are benefits. The benefits far outweigh any risks.
Okay, move on to I think there's a bit of quite few on this clotting issue. That's those who have had the blood clot cases identified. How soon after the first dose do they have the symptoms appear?
Say that again, after the first dose of the vaccine?
Yes, after the first dose, when did these symptoms of the blood clots actually started appearing? Just so that those who are have had the dose have a bit of a peace of mind that I think we've gone past that stage, so we're okay.
Yeah, I have not seen any research that nails down that time frame. I think it would be within 3 to 4 weeks, within the first 3 to 4 weeks. But as I said, 86 cases have been reported. They have not been published with all the exact details right now. So this is an answer that today we cannot answer, at least I cannot answer with certainty, because I have not seen that data.
Okay. There is another one here, which I guess, anyway, I'll fire it across. What is your take on the Sputnik vaccine given in the Asian countries? If for some reason someone can't get a dose of the same vaccine as a second dose, can they go for an alternative option?
So Sputnik, the vaccine from Gemalaya, Russia, again, the phase 3 trials were published in Lancet, 92% efficacy, nearly 100% efficacy in preventing hospitalizations and death, vector-based modern technology. So I personally think it's a good vaccine. If it's available, people should take it. As far as mixing and matching two different vaccines are concerned, typically that's not recommended. That's not standard practice. Only under exceptional situation, we try to mix and match. For example, somebody gets a very severe allergic reaction to the first dose of Pfizer. We may not give him a Pfizer vaccine the second time, we may give something else. So in general, whenever possible, try not to mix and match. Under exceptional circumstances, every exception is different, and I would suggest talk to your doctor in that particular case and follow what your doctor's advice is.
Okay, move on. Every year the flu comes as soon as the weather changes, but I've not had a flu jab. So why do I need to take the COVID vaccine? Because it's just like a flu as well.
Sure, well, good question, but here are some differences and you tell me if it makes sense. Flu has been around for centuries. Your body has seen influenza so many times and it has built immunity against it. So you have partial immunity. Coronavirus is a novel virus. Your body has never seen it before. It is 2 times more or 3 times more rapidly transmissible than flu. And it is 5 to 10 times more deadly than flu. So it's causing a pandemic right now. Nearly 3 million people have died from coronavirus so far. Flu does not do that every year. Flu does not put countries in lockdown. Flu does not put airplanes down. Flu does not overflow hospitals. Influenza does not topple economies. So you need to, first of all, understand, accept, recognize these are 2 very different viruses. They're very, very different. Just because the symptoms can be flu-like, particularly in young people, does not mean that they're the same. And by now you have seen the outcome. In America, COVID has killed 15 times more Americans than influenza does. So that is why I believe we should accept it, that it's different, and then react to it as if it was different. Meaning, if you never got the flu vaccine, yes, you're not taking a chance with your life. If you deny or decline the COVID vaccine, you're taking a chance with your life. If you're young and healthy, yes, you may not die, but about 10-20% of the patients that we are seeing are not fully recovering in 2 or 3 months. They have lingering symptoms. I've seen people with shortness of breath and fatigue 3 months after they got their COVID. So why take all those chances when you have a very simple solution available like a vaccine that I've taken, that 3,000 of my team members have taken?
Thank you. Move on. COVID-19 vaccines are covered for the symptoms of COVID. And people are not protected from their variants, such as the South Africa, Brazil, whatever. So many other variants which are now coming out. Do we need to keep doing different jabs for different disease whenever they appear, especially with this? And this, with this vaccine that we're taking also cover the various variants which are also emerging?
So first of all, there's some correction I want to make. These vaccines do cover the variants. So the idea that they don't cover the variants is wrong. The only gap we see is with the AstraZeneca vaccine and the South African variant, the B1351. So I think as far as Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson are concerned, I have not seen any data that there is escape immunity with variants. Of course, this is once again one of those topics that's changing, that's evolving. I don't know where we will be in 2 months from now, but the UK variant, the B117, is the most prevalent, the most common right now. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, all of them work well against it. Even AstraZeneca, to a large degree, works well last I checked. So I don't want people to believe that because of the risk of variants, that they should not take the vaccine. I think that'll be a very bad logic. The second part of the question was, will there be multiple vaccines needed? We don't know that yet. A year from now, we will know that better, but we can't control that. Whether it's needed or not, that's going to be a scientific fact, just like the scientific facts we have today. So I think let's focus on today and talk about a year later when we get there.
Okay, there's this question, which I think I've seen it also already emerging on Zoom a few times. And that is, we have this homeopathy medicine that we're taking for the same purpose of vaccination. So why do we need to take these vaccines when the...
Yeah. So in life, we typically put multiple defenses for every risk. So it's not uncommon for us to have more redundant processes, right? For your own health, what do? You take medications, you do exercise, you go to a doctor, you take shots, you even have life insurance, many of us. Why? Why not just do one thing? Why not just do exercise and leave it at that, right? Because we know it's not enough. We know we need multiple lines of defenses, right? When you go to the airport, they first put multiple defenses in front of you before you can fly safely in an airplane. And I'm not going to go through that list, but the point here is that to protect yourself from COVID, a smart strategy will be to wear a mask, to do social distancing, to take homeopathy like Hazrat Khalifatul Masih has advised us, but also take vaccine. And after that, don't just stop there. Then pray to Allah Ta'ala, put your trust in God, and not forget about prayer being a part of that defense mechanism. So I think a believer does multiple strategies in everything in life. This should be no different.
Thank you. We move on to the side effects now. There's a few questions here on the side effects that allopathic medicines have so many side effects. So you have to take additional medicines to combat the effects from original medicine. Is it the same with the COVID vaccine? I'll add the other question, and that's all you want to take. Okay, let me just add it. How do you deal with the effects of the vaccine? Can you take painkillers? Is that true that painkillers will solve the problem? And will the side effects ever go away?
Yeah, so multiple questions here. I would suggest that most of these side effects go away within 2 days. There's a very high chance that your arm will hurt after the vaccine. There's a good chance you can develop a low-grade fever. You can feel exhausted and fatigued. You may get some chills. You can take aspirin, paracetamol, Tylenol, ibuprofen, any of the regular medications that you take for fever control. I typically recommend the paracetamol or acetaminophen over NSAIDs, but that's a long, more nuanced conversation. I have not seen anyone who after taking a vaccine had to come to a hospital or had to deal with long-term side effects. I have not seen a single person. Yes, in some cases, it can cause a severe allergic reaction. That risk is about 1 to 2 people in 1 million. And that is why we observe everyone after they get the vaccine, so we can treat that. That's almost always treatable, curable. So those are the side effects of the vaccine. And yes, that's how you manage them. But I have not seen anyone with long-term side effects. These side effects will go away within 2 days. That's expected. And by the way, another important point, it's a good side effect because that's telling me that your body's immune system is doing the work that it was supposed to do. Vaccine is like an email to your body to print 10,000 copies of a document. I'm just making a simple example. It's a message to the immune system that, all right, make this many copies of antibodies. Now the immune system has to do a lot of work all of a sudden. And when it starts working, that's when you start feeling the fever, the fatigue, the chills. So even though you're feeling bad, you should feel good that your body is doing the work it was supposed to do. So it's not really a side effect, it's an effect. It could be expected.
Okay, that's a good one. There's been a few questions on fertility. Would this vaccine have any issue on the fertility of both male and female? Has there been any research on that so far?
No. So this is all made up stuff because nearly 75,000 people were enrolled in the original Pfizer and Moderna trials. And even though they never enrolled any pregnant people, just as nature would have it, just as natural baseline incidence, a few dozen people in both placebo and the vaccine group got pregnant in the next 3 months. And that rate of pregnancy, at least to my calculations, was the same rate, baseline rate of a population. So that tells us a few things. One, it did not impact the male or female infertility. And two, it did not hurt the mother or the fetus. So we have no evidence right now. And I think when people come up with these sort of made up claims, the burden of proof is on them, not on me, right? If I make a claim like, you know what? Rain goes from earth towards sky. Rain falls from earth to sky. That's an absurd claim, right? Now, you should be asking me to prove that what I'm saying is right. People who believe that rain comes from sky to earth should not have to prove, right? Because I'm the one making the odd claim. So I think this is a very odd claim in the age of social media. I understand it has gone viral, but there is really no proof.
Thank you. We'll now move on to a very personal one. He said, my father suffers from Parkinson's disease and needs to take so many medicines throughout the day. He very rarely leaves the house. Is it still safe for him to take the vaccine? I'll go down to his mother as well, because there's another one for the mother, which is quite similar. That's my mother has a kidney problems and goes to the hospital treatment 3 times a week. Is it safe? She also takes the vaccine? Both father and mother.
So based on the current guidelines, the vaccine is safe for both of them. The risk of having a bad outcome because of COVID actually is very high. The video you played in the beginning, it said that 99.7% of the people survive. That's right, and that's also misleading because both of the patients you just mentioned, in this age group, the risk of survival is not 99.7%. It's around 85%. So the mortality in this age bracket is actually very high. And we've got to be very careful that we're protecting this population. Now, what does happen, and for example, more than 80% of all the deaths with COVID have occurred in people over the age of 65. Just think about it. 80% or more deaths have occurred in people over the age 65. So I think the patients you just described probably fall in that age group, and it is important for them to get vaccinated. They may get a less of a robust immune response. Rest, you can ask your own doctor for advice. I want to make a point right here that I don't like to comment on individual situations. A lot of people contact me from all over the world. I have COVID, what should I do? I don't like that sort of medicine. I think that's risky. You should always go to the person who's treating you. I don't treat people remotely. If medicine was that easy, I could just stay home and just give people phone advice all day, right? That's risky. So people should go to their own doctor who should examine the patient, look at all the lab data points, and then make a decision. But in this case, I don't think that both of these elders of our family, they both can get the vaccine, no issue.
From the Islamic point of view, how would you be able to advise anyone to take the vaccine?
So that's beautiful because as Muslims, we believe that our faith is complete, that our faith gives us complete guidance in all matters. And this is where it gets proven again. If you look at the guidance in Holy Quran, whosoever saved one life, it's as if he saved mankind. So vaccination is going to save millions, if not billions of lives, number one. Number two, I'm going to read a very beautiful excerpt from page 2 of Noah's Ark, where Hazrat Masih Maud ﷺ, remember during the time of promised Messiah, there was an outbreak of plague. And back then, the government came up with a vaccine shot. And the promised Messiah said this. These are the words now I'm about to read, quote, "There can be no doubt that until now, inoculation is by far the best physical remedy that the government has found. And there is no denying that this remedy has proven to be effective. It is the duty of all subjects to make use of the means that are available to them so that they may relieve the government of the pain it feels for them. This notwithstanding, we must say to this kind of government, with all due respect, that had there been not a heavenly prohibition for us, we would have been the first among its subjects to be inoculated." So the promised Messiah is saying, because of my prayer dual, because God has instructed me that, not just him, but anyone who is in his spiritual house will be saved. And that is destined. Now, these are my words, that was the sign of the prayer and the truth of Hazrat Masih Maud ﷺ. He's saying, if it was not for that, I would have been the first one. So from Quran and Hazrat Masih Maud ﷺ and Brother Ahmad Abuso, if I request you to play that 1-minute video clip of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, may Allah Ta'ala be his helper. Huzur
Yes.
Anwar recently gave instruction to one of the children in these beautiful classes that we are all enjoying now all over the world. I really feel like I'm sitting in the same room with Khalifatul Masih. Let's listen to this.
पहला सवाल ये है कि आजकल जो एक टीका आया हुआ है कोरोना वायरस के लिए, हमें वो करना चाहिए कि नहीं? आप इसके बारे में क्या फरमाते हैं?
अभी साबित हो जाएगा वो अच्छा इलाज है। अगर गवर्नमेंट कहती है लगवा लो तो लगवा लो, कोई हर्ज नहीं है, लेकिन पहले उसका तजुर्बा तो हो जाए, लोगों को जितना हुआ है उनको फ़ायदा भी होता है कि नहीं है सिर्फ टीका लगाना है, सुई चिप होने के लिए ना टीका लगवा लो। अगर फ़ायदा होता है तो ज़रूर लगाना चाहिए, कोई हर्ज नहीं है।
I'm sure you all were able to read the translation, but very briefly, the child asked, should we get vaccinated for COVID? And Huzur Anwar said that if there is science and if there is proof that it's good and your government recommends that you should get it, then you should get it. So by now, I believe both of those conditions have been met. The science has shown that it works, and most governments, if not all governments, are saying that you should get it. So to me, that is the Islamic teaching, from Holy Quran to Promised Messiah to Khalifatul Masih.
Thank you very much. One of my doctors in Germany also advised me not to get vaccine because if the sudden reaction is not shown, the reaction may be shown also even after 2 or 3 years later. What's your take on that one?
Once again, I keep saying this, sir, it doesn't matter what my take is, because then it will be between me and that doctor in Germany. Science is a team sport. We all follow the evidence and we surrender our personal opinion because that's bias. Current science suggests that there are no long-term side effects, or if there are, they're so rare that they become irrelevant, sort of 1 in a million side effects. So at present, if you look at the whole world, 726 million people have already received a vaccine globally. 726 million, that's more than the adult population of Africa. So if there were long-term side effects, out of nearly 1 billion, 725 million people, at least you'll have 70,000 people in the hospitals, right? You will have, even if it was 1%, that would be a very large number. But how many people are admitted to the hospitals because they got vaccinated? That number is less than 100. So it once again tells us that the long-term side effects are probably 1 in a million. I respectfully disagree with that doctor in Germany, and much of the medical community will disagree. It's just not my matter. I think there is enough science that the vaccine is safe.
Thank you. There's one more here, which is there are also news around the world that some people actually take the vaccine and straight away they pass on, they die. How true is such those videos which are actually running around? How true are they?
Well, again, I can't talk of every video because I have not seen it. All I will tell you is this: there is correlation and then there is causation. What that means is, if you look at all the nursing homes, I'm just making up some numbers. If you look at everyone over the age of 80, you can call what is baseline mortality risk. Means you can calculate every month 100 or 30 people will die just because of age and natural conditions, right? So if you started giving vaccine to everyone, and somebody who was going to die anyway, 3 days from now, you gave them vaccine 2 days ago, and then they died, now you will link this to the vaccine. This is not just with deaths. In US, we have studies showing that about 4,000 people will get stroke in a month. About 4,000 to 5,000 people will have a heart attack or get a cancer. 9,000 people will be diagnosed with cancer. So all of these people, if they got vaccine just 2 days before that diagnosis, people can say, oh, the vaccine caused it. That's correlation, not causation. So I don't want people to be overly anxious about that. That's not how science works. So far, the data is showing that vaccine is not causing any of these deaths.
Thank you. Now, with regards to vaccine, there's been another question here that how is it different from vaccines of the past? And how does this vaccine actually work on our system?
So there are 3 types of vaccines. Some of them are actually just like the vaccines of the past, which is that you inactivate the virus or you kill the virus, and then you inoculate into the body. The vaccines from India, the vaccines from China are still conventional vaccine, just like the ones from past. Then the vaccines which are AstraZeneca or Johnson & Johnson, they are more like you inject a piece of the virus, just one spike protein into the body rather than injecting the whole virus. And then the body does the antibody production against it. Then the third part, which is mRNA vaccines, which I consider, like, to me, they're the most modern technology right now. They don't even have any part of the virus. All they have is a message. It's like a Snapchat message that goes into your body, tells the body to make a certain protein, and then automatically destructs. So those are the 3 different mechanisms of current vaccines, and that's how they're different from conventional.
Thank you. Another one is why? I mean, I guess, anyway, let me throw it to you. And that is, why is it that all the countries of the world now seems to be having the same sort of data, but when it comes to the AstraZeneca, there's a bit of a difference in approach to it? Even
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think there can be so many factors. AstraZeneca was supposed to supply this vaccine to 100 different countries. And, you know, there are human elements, there are scientific elements, there may be political elements, but honestly, I don't know. And then there is also something to be said about the communication from AstraZeneca. I think the company may have done a better job at communicating and being more transparent with some of the data. But yeah, science is a complex process. A lot of what people are seeing, we as physicians have seen all our life. I mean, this is every day, every patient, every new drug that comes out. Science is a very difficult process. It's an iterative process that you build upon success after success. You improve it one small bit every time. Unfortunately, that's unfolding in front of the world and causing a lot of anxiety for people. But for us, it's nothing different.
Thank you. There's one more here, and that is why is this vaccine and this whole coronavirus thing actually linked to artificial intelligence and then this 5G? What is your take on that?
So once again, I don't see any scientific evidence of that. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm trying to convince you to get the vaccine. That's not my job.
I'm just trying to think of that myself. How much have you been paid so far to convince us to take the vaccine?
Does not take anything out of my wallet or does not put anything in my wallet. So I don't argue over things. I simply inform people. I think my job is to inform people. Since you're all like my family, my job is to pray for you. But at the end, it's your decision to get the vaccine or not get the vaccine. And some questions are such that I feel they have been rebutted so many times by all the scientific societies by now. Yes, I can repeat the same answer that there is no connection of 5G or all of those things. But I will also say that, remember in the beginning, we said a believer keeps an open mind. We agreed to that. So these are the situations where I would say some onus is on people as well. All of us have access to internet. You should go and look up the information yourself and then keep an open mind, because no amount of answering from someone else is gonna do the job. At some stage, it's a personal decision.
Thank you. I guess this is a bit of a tricky question, but I'll throw it at you because I know you're quite an intelligent and scholarly man as well. And that is during the fast, are we allowed to take the vaccine?
So when I looked up Fiqh Ahmadiyya, according to Fiqh Ahmadiyya, a vaccine that stays in the skin like chickenpox is allowed during fasting, but a shot that goes inside the muscle or the vein is not allowed. This vaccine goes into the muscle. So my humble understanding from Fiqh Ahmadiyya is that we should not get the vaccine during fasting. I'm also aware that most non-Ahmadi Muslims, is a common topic these days because of Ramadan coming, and what I've read is by and large, they're saying it is okay. So I just want to acknowledge that that's what I've heard. But to me, the word, to me, the hakam and adal of this time is Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam. The umbrella, the renaissance of Islam in this day and age is Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam. Someone who's literally taken us out of the dark ages and united us as brothers across the globe is Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salatu wasalam. So I'm just going to follow what his fiqh says. By the way, you should ask your own missionaries on this. And this is exactly one of those topics where I'm not the expert. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih is. So I'll wait. If Hazur says something different, that's the direction we all follow.
Jazakumullah, Jazakumullah. I think just as Dr. Saab said, the rule for fasting is if anything goes in there, it breaks the fast. So if you're going to be taking a jug which is going to go in there as a liquid, then it is more or less going to break the fast. Ideally, if you want to take on that day, maybe you don't fast that day and you take it. But to do it and with uncertain mind, better check with your missionary, and then inshallah you'll be fine. Jazakumullah. We go on. That's a long one here. Last week, my wife, and I'm now taking those questions from Zoom, so I'm just going to be reading direct. And that last week, my wife had the AstraZeneca vaccine. Since then, she has been getting pins and needles, although very likely in her arms, and today, her face. Obviously, with the news, we are very worried. She feels fine, just not sure if this is the side effect of the vaccine. Can the doctor please say anything to that effect?
It's impossible for me to say anything, sir. These are individual situations. I think your wife should consult with her own doctor, and they should assess her carefully and then give her the answer. That's what I was saying earlier. Medicine is a very complex, risky, humbling business. We want to be very careful because 9 out of 10 times these things are not important and they go away. But if there is something that needs to be addressed, I would not want it to be missed. So please consult your doctor.
Jazakumullah. There's a bit of a very broad question here, which I think would be very good as well. And that is, how can we improve our immune system? Because definitely in this particular time, looks as if we need an immune system to fight this corona. So any advice or any tips on that as well?
Sure. For immunity, what is good 7-8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So make sure you're getting disconnected from technology and not looking at your cell phone all night. Number 2 is maintaining good weight. Number 3 is doing exercise. Popping pills and taking vitamins and doing all kinds of shortcuts, I don't think improve immunity. There is no science behind that. But those are the 3 big things to improve immunity. Do remember one thing though, no matter how strong your immunity is, your body is not going to be able to develop neutralizing antibodies against a brand new virus just through exercise and sleep. You still need a vaccine for that.
Thank you. How safe is this vaccine for heart patients? Is any research on that?
Sure, it's safe. I've not heard anything otherwise.
Okay. There's one here which I think has been going around a lot, and that is somewhere it is written that 50 million people died from the flu in 1918, and COVID has less than just about 3 million people so far. So how is it that you say that COVID is so dangerous than flu? Secondly, are we going to continue taking the vaccine every year since the lifespan of the vaccine is normally about 2-3 years? I know it's one of those questions, but...
The second question first, we don't know whether it'll be every year or not. Personally speaking, if for the next 2 or 3 years, it is every year and it ends the pandemic, I still think it's worth it. Your second question about flu killing more than COVID, that flew in 1918. Yes, your numbers are accurate, but let me ask you this. 3 million deaths to you is not good enough? I mean, 3 million deaths is not big enough for us to take a vaccine, which 726 million people have taken. And number 2, we may be done with COVID, but COVID isn't done with us. It's 3 million today. Where will it be in a year or 2 years from now? Anybody's guess. This virus is not just going to go away on its own. It will, but it will do a lot of damage before it goes away. If it kills, let's just say 0.5%, 0.5%, less than 1%, right? What will be 1% of 7.5 billion people? Do the math. Can anyone do the math for me? What's the 1% of 7.5 billion people?
Is it 170,000? Is that right? Or
1% of 7.5 billion people?
Or 7.5?
7.5 billion. I want someone to answer that question.
Dr. Hakim, you need to bail us out.
7.5 million.
75 million.
It's 75, yes.
75 million.
Right.
I think,
yeah. 75 million, right? That is 1%. If this kills 0.5%, that will be about 38 million people dead in the world. So let's just do the math. It will end at 38 million if we did not do anything, number 1. Number 2, it will go on for another 3, 4, or 5 years. So understand the economic ramifications of a pandemic lasting another 4 years. Number 3, yes, it will kill 0.5% of the people, but it will put 10% of the people in the hospital. That's 750 million people in the hospitals. And number 4, it will leave many million chronically ill. So that is what we are looking at. So to compare this with 1918, will be an absolute tragedy. I hope that the world never does that sort of comparison, because in 1918, we did not have treatments, we did not have tests, we did not have science, and we did not, of course, did not have vaccinations. So COVID isn't done with us. Please do not compare the numbers at this stage. You know, it's almost like you only played the first 15 minutes of a soccer match and you're down by 3 goals from the other team. Once you go to full 70 minutes, 2 halves, and if you don't change your game, this game is going to end with 20-0. We don't want to get that sort of an outcome here.
Thank you. There's this very important question here. I feel, I don't know whether what the person I've said is right, but I guess it's very important you clarify things for people. And that is, our government are telling us not to meet each other's houses, even with the vaccine, and to still social distance, even if we had the vaccine. But you have said the opposite. I thought it was very important you clarify things for people in that sense. Someone has just sent this through.
Sure, absolutely. And as I said, I mean, this is a part of our faith. There is a distinction of Jamaat Ahmadiyya globally, that wherever we live within the law of the government. We respect the law of the government. So I would say that's exactly what I would do, because this this disease is different in different countries. If you're living in New Zealand right now, there is no need for any lockdown. Pandemic doesn't exist for you because they have such a good control that it's a very different reality in New Zealand compared to UK. So I would say, yes, whatever our government says, we should do that.
You've repeated this severally, but then I guess we're just about approaching at the end. But I'll check this one in before I come to that one, and that is this spray vaccine, which is how good is this spray vaccine which has been going around, and then also when are we having it? Because a lot of us are scared of the jabs.
Yeah, nasal vaccines or the spray vaccines are probably still another 6 to 9 months away. So I don't think they will be available anytime soon. I don't think we should wait for them. They will come at their own time. They may be beneficial for children or from other groups, but they're still many, many months away.
Okay. We have so many people who are still very scared of going for the vaccine. I believe that is exactly what you're trying to do here. If you want to say anything to them as kind of a last message, how would you put it across to them?
I will simply repeat those 5 things that I said in the beginning. Nothing in life is risk-free. You know, there is 1 in 250,000 chance that an aeroplane can crash on our house. That does not, we don't stop living in our house because of that risk. So I would humbly suggest that understand that not taking a vaccine is also taking a risk. So you're exchanging one risk with another. Don't think that taking the vaccine is a risk and not taking it is safe. Right? Because when you're not taking it, you're taking the risk of COVID and all its complexities. I also think that even if you're young, all of us want this pandemic to end. The best way for it to end is all of us getting vaccinated. Remember, we agreed in the beginning that the collective interest supersedes individual interest. So I would say that's the beauty of Islam compared to these Western societies where people are very individualistic. We always think of the greater good. I also would say that believer is open-minded. When you get new information, you should really think about it. You should pray on it and then change your position. It's not a sign of weakness when we change our position. To me, this is tying the camel. Ultimately, protection and cure comes from Allah, but not tying the camel is not the teaching for us. And in the end, you already heard what Khalifatul Masih said. So we believe Khilafat changes a state of fear into a state of peace. And if I'm not taking the vaccine, I have some anxiety about it. I have a element of fear in me. And we are the fortunate ones who have that khilafat that always, not just forget about vaccine and COVID, so many situations in our life. Think of your own life in the past. And I'm pretty sure all of us can think of a time when we were in a state of fear and anxiety, and khilafat changed into a state of peace. So I will again go back to those 5 points, and everybody should make their own decision.
Thank you. There's one more. I think I should just chip it in before we move to our revered PAAMA president for the closing remarks, and that is, what is your advice on traveling in this period?
Once again, CDC says that's another advantage of getting vaccinated, because you can travel more safely. And again, it's a matter of protection. So I don't know what else. I feel bad that I'm coming back to the same point over and over again, but that's only because it shows you our limitation. We don't have 10 different things to offer. I wish I had a pill that cured COVID. I don't have that sort of treatment right now. You should come and work with me in the hospital one day, and you will see how devastated we as physicians feel. You may be looking at me smiling. I'm telling you, I'm bone tired. I'm exhausted. And I'm suffering because I'm seeing human suffering to a level that I've never seen in my life. So if you have to travel, the best way to safely travel is to get vaccinated and then try to wear an N95 or a KN95 mask while you're traveling. Keep a small hand sanitizer with you so you're protected while you're traveling from one place to another.
Dr. Sab, it's really been enlightening, really been knowledgeable and quite relaxing. And I believe everyone who is watching would probably be, if you're one of those who had that kind of hesitation to go for the vaccine, I believe Dr. has been able to convince you it's for the good of all of us. So please do make up your mind, do it for the safety, your own safety, and for the safety of everyone. And just like Dr. Sab said, if you save one life, it's like you saved the whole of humanity. Thank you very much, Dr. Sab. And then
one last thing, if I may,
yes,
just 30 seconds. Allah has blessed me to do these sessions in various groups. And after this sort of a session, I start getting a lot of messages, personal messages. So my request is, please follow a few things. I will not be able to help you with personal situations. I'm a doctor, not your doctor. The reason, what I mean by that is, it is risky. It's bad practice, like I said here as well. Your individual situations should be handled by your physician. And I do not feel comfortable with that. I will not have my family be treated by someone who's sitting thousands of miles away. So please know that my prayers are with you. And the second thing is, if you needed more of this, once again, because I get so many messages, I'm unable to respond to them. I have a full day at work. I have my Jamaat responsibilities. So my request is, I try to answer those messages on Twitter. You don't need to even have an account. You can just search it on Google and just spend 10, 15 minutes and you can get a lot of answers. That's where they are in one place in writing. And I hope that that's how I'm trying to do mimma razaqnahum yunfikun. I'm trying to share what Allah has blessed, none of my own doing, but I just want to make sure that if I'm unable to get back to someone, that's because of my absolute limitations. I was just looking at my screen time last week, and my phone screen time has gone over 10 hours a day. I could not believe it. I have a full day of work in addition to that. So just wanted to make sure all of you knew that I'm not ignoring anyone, or I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I'm unable, because I know I am unable to get back to a lot of people. So please keep me in your prayers. I just wanted to request all of you to keep me in your prayers. And inshallah, together we're going to get through this. Inna ma'al usra yusran, inna ma'al usra yusra. Holy Quran says, surely there is ease after hardship. So may Allah Ta'ala protect all of you.
Jazakumullah, Doctor, for that one. And I believe if you want to just contact Dr. Sab, please do come and see me privately. Give me some money, I'll give you the number to you. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. We now move on to our closing remarks by our revered, respected PAAMA President, United Kingdom, Mr. Tommy Kalon Sahib.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My dear and beloved brother, Dr. Fahim Yunus Sahib, respected audience all around the world, and my dear PAAMA UK members, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Let me start by congratulating my PAAMA regions, the Midland region, PAAMA West region, and PAAMA North region, who have been our collective hosts today. And I congratulate them for hosting this event, and also I thank them very dearly, because what you've done today is unite me with my brother, my dear brother, Fahim Yunus Sahib. Many people may not know, but when I was Sada Kudamlamdea UK, a respected brother was also Sada of the USA.
Virtual hug. Here's a virtual hug for you.
Indeed, I used to call him the real president of the USA, and he's never let me down. So yes, indeed, it's been a reunion today with my brother Fahim, and then Jazakallah Fahim, Saba, come to you, but I want to thank you as well for not just for today, but for all your services you've done for the Jamaat, for humanity, for enlightening us today. It's been a very, very informative and I should say inspiring event as well, inspiring and talk from you. And not just for today, but also over the years. I recall when we went to establish PAAMA USA back in 2007 to 2017, your role you played there when you brought together the PAAMA USA members in your wonderful house there, the basement. I recall we met there with Imam Diba Sahib, who was a then president, and the members of PAAMA USA. We had a wonderful evening together. And yeah, so Jazakallah for that. I remember it very, very clearly. So yeah, like I said, I cannot thank you enough. I mean, on behalf of all the worldwide audience of our members from all over the world joining us today, and there's untold and countless messages of really gratitude and thanks to yourself for all the knowledge you've imparted to us. You've demystified the COVID vaccine for us. You've dispossessed members of a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of conspiracy theories going on. By the grace of Allah, I've been able to shed light on those and debunk all those theories. So I hope and pray that members would obviously learn from that and get more confidence towards taking the vaccine when they are called upon by the respective governments. Well, Jamaat is very blessed. As Fahim Saab said, there's so many experts in the Jamaat. PAAMA UK, we've been holding a lot of career guidance forums in recent weeks, and we've been able to call upon a lot of experts within the Jamaat for whatever field, be it medicine, law, accountancy. Last week or a few days ago, in fact, we had one on big data and medicine. So there's so many experts within the Jamaat, and what I want to say is they're not only experts in their respective fields, but they're subject matter experts, or they're leading experts as well. And today as well, Dr. Fahim, you're a leading expert in infectious disease, as you said, for the last 20 years. And what I want to say to the young PAAMA ambassadors is, I hope if today's event has not only imparted knowledge to you, but has also inspired you to also pursue your careers and become the very best in your respective fields, which is the very reason why we launched these career guidance programs, try to link you up with domain experts in the world. And also the reason why we launched the Ismail Bike Ado Sahib Awards, which are named after, obviously, our inaugural chairman of PAAMA UK. I respected the late Ismail Biko Adu Sahib, Baba Bacha, as many people will know him. And so the awards were named after him to inspire youngsters to pursue these academic excellence, which our beloved Khalifa has always tried to inspire us to pursue. So, like I said, I want tonight to be an inspiration, a springboard for our members to become domain experts as well. So that's 15, 20 years down the line, if obviously in the hands of Allah, we pray that there is no pandemic, a repeat of any pandemic. But if there is, then of course, then you'll be, the PAAMA youngster members, up-and-coming members, will be able to play a leading role like Dr. Fahim is playing in this day and age. I know I do check on Fahim's Twitter myself, and I do learn a lot from that because there's so many theories out there, and Fahim has a unique style of demystifying all these myths and debunking all these myths and conspiracy theories. So it's a very good Twitter feed to follow, and I've noticed that especially in the COVID period, that the grace of Allah is account as his followers have increased manifold times. So obviously that's credit to obviously the work he's doing. And it says to take time out of such a busy schedule. I know doctors are fully stretched these days, and to take time out of a really busy schedule to come impart this and spend this evening with us, or this afternoon for yours in your time there, but this time with us all over, and the members all over the world. Like I said, we really cannot thank you enough. We're really grateful. And one thing you touch upon there for him is the unity of the Jamaat and the blessings of Khilafat. And I'm not an expert in COVID. I'm not an expert in science. I'm not an expert in medicine. I'm not competent enough scholastically from a religious point of view to comment upon all these matters. But I just want to give my 2 pence layman's take on this COVID vaccine and what I think we should be doing and the implications of not taking the vaccine. The way I see it is, for us in the UK at least, our Jamaat, the UK Jamaat, has taken the lead. We've linked up with the NHS, the National Health Service, and all across the UK, mosques and mission houses, there have been mass vaccination programs going on, which the Jamaat is, and that's how I got my vaccine. I've only taken the vaccine once, and I got the AstraZeneca vaccine as it goes. I got it on the 26th of February, and I'm still standing by the grace of Allah. So, like I said, and the only reason I was also one of those who had vaccine hesitancy, I must admit, I'm not going to lie. And obviously, all the stuff you hear about the clotting of blood and all that does not inspire you confidence. But the reason why I took the vaccine was for this reason and this reason only, because it was done and hosted by the Jamaat, and we got invitation from the Jamaat. The government instructed us to take the vaccine, and as we saw in the clip from Huzu, the government instructs you, then go for it. Whatever government advises you to do it, then go for it. And when the Jamaat hosted the first mass vaccination program here in my local mosque, which happens to be Baitul Futu, then of course I was, as Fahim said, put your faith in Allah, obviously. And I just put my faith in that. I went for the vaccine and took it. And by the hope and pray now that at least I got some level of immunity. And if God forbid I do get it, then obviously the transmission rate is also reduced. But there is, I mean, for him, as I said, it's all, there is a lot of data on the efficacy of this vaccine. So if we put our trust in Allah and then take the vaccine, especially those which are done by our UK Jamaat. And the reason why I say that is the blessings of Khilafat, because I know I've worked with Amir Sab UK for over many years, since he was our first Sada Qudam Ahmadiyya. When I first came to the UK in 1990, he was a Sada then, and he's been working at the top level. I've known how he works, and I know that Amir Sab would not host mass vaccinations across UK mosques and mission houses without the blessings and approval of Khalifa Masih. Because I learned from Amir Sab myself that in small matters, however trivial, you always seek permission from Khalifa Masih, always seek his blessings. If you don't need his approval, at least seek his blessings, whatever. So I know that this is done with the blessings of Khalifa Masih, and that gave me my confidence. As Fahim said, Khalifa turns our fear into peace. And I had immense doubts about the vaccination because it was hurried, it was not tested. I was worried at the length of time, there were side effects that may come out 10, 15, 20 months later, whatever, that we may not know about yet. But the moment the Jamaat says, here's a vaccination program, those who are eligible, please, whatever, register for it. I was one of the first and foremost to register for it. And I obviously talked my wife as well into taking it. Obviously, she had also already received the invitation from NHS. And I always once saying, let's wait and see what happens. Let's wait and see you down the line. Let's give you some time. But the moment the Jamaat says, here's the invitation to come take the vaccine, I was first and foremost, not only myself, but my wife as well. On the same day, we went and got the vaccination. This is the blessing of Khilafat. And again, for this program as well, when this program was put together by the three regions, it came to me that we needed permission from Khalifa Masih. Straight away, I submitted a request to Huzu at 5:55 on Tuesday evening, and by 11:55 on Wednesday morning, I already got the response from Private Secretary's office that Huzu has approved. In fact, I got a letter of Huzu annotated, approved, whatever. I was clearly stated in the bold that this event is hosted by this PAAMA regions, and it is going to be delivered. The main talk will be delivered by Dr. Fahim Yunus Sahib, and it is demystifying the COVID vaccine myths. So, if in Huzu's wisdom there's no blessings in the vaccine, why would they approve for Dr. Fahim straight away to come and deliver this event? So in my lay opinion, obviously I'm not, like I said, I'm not qualified enough to comment upon this religiously or give what Huzu was thinking about, but I have the feeling that Huzu obviously is endorsing the vaccination program by obviously allowing Dr. Fahim to come talk to us and demystify, debunk all these theories. And again, I have another take on this, and that the vaccine avoidance may actually have some very, very serious consequences for us, whatever. Because imagine, I mean, just for the sake of argumentation, that you avoid the vaccine because of potential side effects and all the risk, which obviously, as Fahim said, there's always risk in everything you do. I remember once I put a question to Khalifa Tumasi IV, should boxing be banned, whatever? And Uzu said, why? And I said, because it can lead to brain damage. And Uzu said, well, you can walk in front of a bus and you can walk on the streets and get an accident or whatever. There's more risk in that than boxing, than having a brain damage from boxing. He said, what should, Uzu said to me then, and I remember in Fazal Mosque, he said, what they need to do is tighten the rules, have more rules, more regulations, more protections, more medical guidance, whatever, but there's no need to ban boxing because there is a risk of brain damage, whatever. So the point is there is risk in everything you do. Every day you walk out of your house, there is a risk. That's the reason why the Holy Prophet, we should do Duruj Sharif from so much, because he taught us prayers for every single thing we need to do from the moment you wake up to the time you go to bed to retire at night. There is a prayer for everything you do. And we use this prayers to minimize the risk of anything going wrong in any given day, any given moment of our lives. So there's always a risk. So but I was saying that if you don't take the vaccine, and obviously you do end up, God forbid, contracting COVID, and I don't mean just contracting and having mild symptoms, but what if you contract COVID and become critically ill? What prayer can you possibly offer to Allah? Allah gave you the opportunity. The Jamaat invited you to come take the vaccine, for at least those of us in the UK, and you avoided the vaccine. What prayer can you offer? Of course, I'm not going to prescribe limits on the mercy of Allah. Allah is all merciful. So many times we've wronged ourselves and we turn to Allah with repentance, and Allah's forgiven us and have mercy on us. So of course Allah can forgive us, but it will be some sort of embarrassment for you to stand in front of Allah and pray to Allah to save you if you're critical of COVID, when Allah gave you the opportunity to get potential immunity and vaccination from it immunity through vaccination, and you refuse to take it, whatever. And there's also potential consequences as well, not just for yourself, but if, God forbid, you contract COVID and then knowingly or unknowingly, you pass on that COVID to someone else, who then passes on to countless people, whatever, indirectly, because you become a spreader of COVID, and somebody ends up dying from that. Somebody passes on you pass on direct to somebody, or indirectly to somebody passes to somebody else, or their grandparents, or the people with family members or friends or with weak immune system, and somebody ends up dying from that. I mean, I don't know what's happening. I'm not competent enough scholastically to say what can happen to you on the day of judgment, but all I know is it's not a situation you want to be in, where you do not know. You wake up on the day of judgment and you find out that you had indirectly caused the death of people you never even knew about, never came into contact with. I remember the time when COVID just started. I had just a small anecdote I want to give about my own personal example. At the start of the COVID pandemic, I had an appointment to take my car in for servicing. Just on that day, I started experiencing some mild symptoms of flu. It was a normal flu at the time, but I did not know what it was. And I was in doubt. I needed to take my car to service because I needed the car to commute to work, etc. And I needed to have something rectified. But I was worried that what if I had the COVID and I don't know it at the time, and I go in and indirectly or unwittingly infect someone else, and that person, or some people, the mechanics who come to sit in your car, to drive your car, to fix it, what if they contract and pass on to other people? And you wake up on the day of judgment not knowing that you've infected so many people, and they go on pass on, either somebody somebody you pass it on to dies directly from it, or somebody indirectly they pass on to somebody that ends up dying, and you're ultimately responsible for that, but you could have avoided it. So obviously, I put my faith in Allah. Says, no, I'm not going to take my car in. I call this company and says, whatever, I have an appointment, but I think it's best if I don't come in because I'm experiencing some symptoms and I don't want to take the risk, whatever. And that's the point I'm trying to make, that if you don't take the vaccine, when you have the chance to take it, of course, there's a program and there's a priority list, whatever, those who are a certain age are calling first. But when your time comes, for God's sake, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to sell it to you. It's not my job. I don't get any money from it, whatever. But I'm just saying that there may be consequences for you. Obviously, if you don't take the vaccine, you end up getting it and pass on to somebody else, God forbid. Then, obviously, I don't know what can happen to you. I'm not competent enough. Like I said, I'm not. I'm not a missionary or anything like that. But it's a question you don't want to have to answer on the day of judgment. If, God forbid, you have contracted when you had a chance to become immune to it, and you do not take that chance, and you end up contracting it, either yourself or your family member become critically ill, or na'uzubillah, you pass on somebody and they pass away from that. So that can have some severe consequences. So the point I'm trying to make is that there can be serious implications for it. It's not just from a medical point of view, but again, as Fahim Saab said, there is for the greater good, you should put your own personal safety aside, the minor risks that potentially could happen, put those aside, and let us work towards the greater good. If this can be, obviously, people like Fahim are at the forefront of fighting COVID, and we have many members in our association as well, UK at least, who are at the forefront in the health service working towards this. We cannot be at the forefront. Some of us have the privilege of working from home on a daily basis. I don't come into contact. I only go for my only interaction when I go for Salat and buy Futu and back. But those who, with the little bit we can do in helping to fight the vaccination, helping to fight the pandemic, is by taking this small risk and becoming vaccinated by it, and let us play our minor role, our modest role in reducing the spread of COVID, reducing the number of hospitalizations. Let us reduce the workload on the NHS and people like Dr. Fahim, who are spending the best parts of the day away from their families and having to fight this disease. Let us play a minor role by just putting our faith in Allah, putting our trust in Allah, having faith in the Jamaat and the guidance of Khalifa to Masih, and let us take the vaccine, which has been proven scientifically to be efficacious, and also it is the guidance has come from our government, and it is of course our duty to obey. Obedience is part and parcel of being a Muslim. So the point I'm making is, let us, by taking the vaccine, it is a small role we can play, a minor role compared to the vast, big, massive role which people like Dr. Fahim are playing out there fighting this pandemic. It's a small price to pay. You may get, I was ill for a couple of days, I did, and I'm glad Dr. Fahim clarified that that's actually to my benefit, that the antibodies were working, my immune system was working, and for 2 days, I was whatever, I mean, I didn't go for Salat, I just stayed at home, by the grace of Allah, recovered healthily and stuff. But then the point is, it is a small risk, small price to pay to help us fight the pandemic. So anyway, that's my lame take on that. But obviously, I hope and pray that members would have gained benefits from, obviously not from my humble contribution, but definitely from what Dr. Fahim said today. So I want to go back to Dr. Fahim for the final word on tonight's event and on tonight's program. After that, we're going to go all the way to South Africa, to where we join, by the grace of Allah, by many missionaries and leaders and Jamaat elders. And today, we're joined by one such member, the national president and missionary in charge of our Jamaat Ahmadiyya South Africa, and the person of Maulana Mansour Zaid Sahib. So he's going to come back to him, and he's going to lead us in silent prayer to bring this program to a formal end. But before that, I want to go back to Dr. Fahim, because obviously you are the keynote speaker today. I just want to give you the final word for tonight before we go over to South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa for silent prayers. Dr. Fahim, sir, please.
Jazakumullah for your kind invitation, for your kind words. My dear brother, President Tommy Collins, I just wish one day we see each other again and hug and shake hands and be grateful to Allah Ta'ala. Nothing more. Jazakumullah for the opportunity.
Indeed, Jazakallah, sir. Okay, Ahmed, are we good to go over to South Africa now for silent prayers?
Yes, we're going to go to, but then just a quick one for everyone who's listening in, just to let you know, again, to just buttress the same point that our respected President Saab and Dr. Fahim has said. Our beloved Huzur has also tasked MTA Africa to be organizing these programs on MTA Africa, because he knows there's a lot of these myths in Africa, which is people are now very scared of going towards the vaccine. And Huzur himself has actually tasked us with that particular job, to make sure we organize programs to help people demystify this myths so that they can go for the vaccine. So if you want to know, our beloved Huzur is in support of it. Yes, he's actually tasked MT Africa to do that. I think we go now to South Africa, just at the very bottom of Africa, to Mrabi Zahid Saab to lead us in the silent prayer.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Mansoor Saab, how are you?
Ji, alhamdulillah. Before silent prayer, I want to thank Dr. Fahim Sahib. I've heard him on America Jalsa, but today we had the opportunity to hear him live. And the topic he discussed was very important, because there are a lot of rumors. As he said, we shouldn't listen to WhatsApp or this type of things. because a lot of people, they just make videos and they throw here and there, and people become confused. So he has given answer of many questions which are commonly going on. So this way, I'm very thankful to him. May God bless him. May God give him long life, and may God give him opportunity to serve the mankind and the Jamaat. And today is Friday, and we have got this another Friday, mean gathering through 3 continents. Dr. Sahib from America, I'm from Africa, our chairman Sahib, Tommy Kalu, and Ahmed Osu Sahib from UK. You see, 3 continents has become together, and this is the blessing.
Just to clarify, there are a few continents here. There are people from Dubai,
okay,
everywhere, Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, so that people don't get upset.
No, I said continents.
Yeah, Maulana Sahib is your boy Abu Huraira from Dubai. He's
yes. So we got 4 continents, you know.
Yes, indeed.
So this is a Juma, which Allah the Almighty prophesies in Surah Juma, that in the time of Prophet Islam, there will be a Juma. And this is a gathering, which we gather through the new technology. And I'm very grateful to Allah the Almighty and thankful to the Jamaat, because we are not in the past where people, they were fighting on the mic, whether we can use speaker or not. But even that time, second Khalifa Raziallahu Ta'ala who took a decision that we will use it. So Jamaat have, our Khulafa have a long sight. They see in the future what will happen. So we are getting benefit of these things. We are thankful to Allah the Almighty. And I also want to wish thank to all those participated. Whatever we have heard, please continue this message to others, because we do discuss this type of things with friends, with the relatives, and some of them, they are in a panic. Some of them, they are in trouble that, maybe we are going to be controlled by this or that. These are not the things. Let's take it with a happy heart, with a good heart, and inshallah, God the Almighty will protect this word due to what we are trying to do. So with this few word of thanks, kindly join with me in a silent prayer. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Allahumma ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.